Look at this map. Do you see the US in the middle? Let's look at some of these. Quite peculiar, isn't it? It's almost as if the US isn't the center of the world. As much as movies like to depict the US as being the center of the entire universe,
the fragment has hit Central Florida.
I might be wrong, but don't Americans want this to happen to Florida anyway?
The reality is the jolly burger-eating cowboys of the Wild Wild West are no different than any British person like me.
British?
Actually, that sentence is a complete lie. We are different, and Americans like to remind me of this online every day.
Gonna get my pillow out and do burnouts on your front lawn?
Cringe is a spectrum, and both the United States and the United Kingdom are pretty far along both sides. Speaking of cringe, make sure you like the video. They've been doing pretty terrible recently, and your like would definitely help to change that. Anyway, even though we know that both of our countries have their own flaws, we like to pretend that we're better than the other country in every way imaginable.
The thing about Americans, they say they speak English, but they've had to change it to make them understand it more.
Now, speaking for myself, I do not hate all Americans, the same way that I don't hate all British people, just the ones that are stupid, self-absorbed, or pointless celebrities. Or in most cases, all of the above. An observation I've made about this subject when media articles cover it is they only like to talk about this on political levels. And this bores the living shit out of me because no one arguing in an Instagram comment section cares about the UN. But even people in online forums posing the same question seem to deny that there's this mutual shit-talking contest in which both countries like to slander each other the hardest. I mean, as I'm recording this video, a new meme format that's just emerged is literal British and American slander compilations.
What a time to be alive.
And I experience this shit talking firsthand every day because I am one of the shit talkers. My Instagram page has essentially become a social experiment at this point to see which kind of content becomes the most widespread. And my scientific findings are that whenever I make a post slandering the US, it always performs unequivocally well. So time and time and time again, I make jokes about their healthcare system, their gun control laws, or even the jokes that they make about their own country's atrocities. And each time, Instagram recommends my content directly to them, and the reason why? America, fuck yeah! You cannot say one bad word about the US and not expect to be swarmed by gun-wielding lunatics whose only perception of a world outside America is through a television screen. Yet, this graph seems to suggest that 79% of America's citizens seem to think that Britain has a positive influence on the US, the highest of any other country. So why do Americans hate on me for being a tea-drinking, bad teeth, unshowering, smelly Brit, which is ludicrous because I don't even drink tea? Well, that's probably more to do with the reason that they're reacting to me specifically. They are reacting to stimuli that I've purposely created to get a negative reaction. However, the average person does not run a mildly offensive Instagram meme page, and instead their perception of the other country is probably created by a more genuine source and a more well-educated individual. For other countries outside of the UK and the US, however, it is a normal part of their culture to hate both Britain and America. So much so that Iran use America as a benchmark example of how bad a country can get. In July 2009, an Iranian advisor called Britain worse than America, an insult that still sends shivers down my urethra. So then, who are these 10% of Americans who think that Britain has a negative influence? Well, it's actually ingrained in American culture to think that every country that is not America should be held in contempt. The law of America is premised on the concept that there are two distinct humans on planet Earth, Americans and aliens. The term alien is so central to understanding why Americans know so little of countries outside of their own. So if this governmentally accepted terminology describing the world is used, then of course some Americans are going to have an apprehensive and somewhat negative view of any country that isn't the US, even if only on a subconscious level. Now hold on, I'm not saying that Britain is entirely innocent and that we're not little shits. Britain has given not only America, but every country a reason to despise us. For example, if I had to list every atrocity and colonization committed by the British, this video would probably be longer than an Emp Lemon documentary. To understand why there's so much hate from these opposing countries, we should first look at the opposite. What helps people build connections, apart from doing recreational drugs behind your local McDonald's together? To form a friendship with someone, common interests or views help to play a more vital role than blah 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 blah. Talking shit about another country makes us feel better about our own, basically. These shared xenophobic views fall into three categories. Number one, entertainment. Both these global superpowers have distinguishable qualities that are very easy to make fun of. Joking about these exaggerated attributes helps us find common ground in conversations with something that is easily and universally mockable. 2. Issues. I think we can agree everyone watching this video has some sort of issues. I mean, you either came here to watch me slander the US or the UK, don't lie. And I'd be happy to oblige both sides.
Yeah, baby! Ding a dong!
But But discussing cultural differences, socio-economic issues, and antiquated politics is a really good way to alienate the other country and reassure yourself and your friends that the one you're living in is better. And number 3, shared history. In a country with extremely extensive history like Britain, or not so much in America's case, even though we had nothing to do with the colonization of other countries or the Bill of Rights or any historical movement, it still made us into the people that we all are today. Where would we be without Rosa Parks or Winston Churchill? Probably either speaking German or still enslaving people. All of these types of common ground help bring a sense of camaraderie and connection to people of the same nationality, or even people of different nationalities, as long as they hold this common view. A bond is formed. A xenophobic bond based on other people's misfortune, but nonetheless a bond. So what happens when someone who's used to thinking about Britain or America in this negative way actually talks to someone from the other country? You get what people like to refer to as the well at least exchange, in which a person from one country, let's say Britain, finds something offensive that a Yank said. As deep down this British person knows that the American is right, he will deflect the point and project his negative perception of US people onto that American person.
You think you're sick though, man? You will know about it when I fucking Batista bomb your nan in middle of Asda.
But why, in 2022, do stereotypes still exist, such as British people having bad teeth, despite it being an absolute and complete myth? Look, these are pretty good. In fact, this is such a mythical myth that statistically, Americans actually have worse teeth than the British. And the school shooting stereotype for America is just another example of a stereotype that's overused and simply just not true. True or not, these stereotypes find their way into online insults every minute of every day without fail. And why? Laziness. Because no one wants to sit in an Instagram comment section during an argument and cite case studies when they could just insult someone by telling them to go to a school in Florida without wearing a bulletproof vest.
Well, at least I'm not getting slaughtered while I'm doing my formatting!
It's easier to make jokes that we know the other country is sick of hearing because we know that it'll get the opposition's goat. For example, I'm sure America are sick of hearing how dumb and illiterate they are. Fortunately, not everyone is so ill-educated that they turn out like Trisha Paytas, who doesn't know anything that isn't related to plastic surgery or reality TV.
Dogs can't talk. So do they have brains?
In fact, I don't think she knows that much about plastic surgery from what I've seen. Subtle passive-aggressive digs from the US to the UK and vice versa are prevalent in political videos, algorithms, and even the script for this video. My Google Docs document recognized that the word American should be capitalized, but thinks that Britain deserves to be lowercase. In Britain, British politics does not take the limelight in the press. It's actually dominated by American politics. This was particularly true when Trump was in power. And with Trump, well, being Trump and having an extremely volatile personality, he's a lot easier to lampoon in an article than bland counterparts like Theresa May. Which explains why in America, they don't give a flying toss about British politics. In fact, it's probably why I don't give a flying toss about British politics either. So is it any wonder with this level of negative media coverage of an American man, some British people would make a negative connotation between him and the country he's running? After all, the people from that country voted for him. Okay, so let's make an opposite comparison and see what both of our countries lead the world in positively. According to this article, America lead the world in medical research, aerospace, education, and artificial intelligence. And according to this different article, the UK lead the world in medical research, aerospace, education, and artificial intelligence. Well, hang on a minute, how can both of these countries be the best at the same thing? These websites both talk about the same thing, except one is published by the US and one is published by the UK. Most websites that talk about our national achievements are so clearly biased in favor of the country that they're published by, and this is due to their viewership and the need to pander to the audience they have. You'll find this happening all over the internet if you just compare the source. A clear example of this is when you Google who are the world's superpowers. If you look at an American website, you'll always see America listed as the #1 world superpower, with Britain maybe somewhere below 5. And if we look at a British website, we see that America is again the #1 world superpower, but Britain think that they're #2, which even as patriotic as I am, I know is a complete lie. So is it just natural to claim that the country that you live in is the best just because you live there?
Fuck no, baby!
Looking at these figures from 2011 to 2017 at what percentage of Americans think that America is the greatest country on earth, the general consensus is the country is seen as the best in the world by 29% of its citizens, with only 14% saying hands down that other countries are better. But if we look at a more recent graph from 2021 and look at a more detailed breakdown of the people being polled, we can see there is a direct correlation between the age of people and the opinion of the US. A whopping 42% of American people between the age of 18 and 29 think that other countries are better than the US. So whilst it may be that the number is currently growing to a point where one day it will become a country that is not so up its own arse and recognises its flaws, right now it's still America number one. So how does Britain see itself then? Well, we hate ourselves a lot less, as only 8% of the population have a negative view of the country. But we also don't pretend that we're God's gift to the world. We actually believe that New Zealand is the best country. Ah, those friendly, clean, safe, environmentally friendly Kiwis. So perhaps this biggest penis contest between nations is actually all about self-awareness. It's very rare that I'll see swarms of British people in a comment section that's making fun of Britain in an attempt to defend their country. Whereas if it's the other way around, Americans treat it like you shit on their nan. And this in itself is something to make fun of. So, why do the Brits and Americans that hate each other hate each other? The answer? Because it's funny. Thank you so much for watching. I am still yet to get my first patron on Patreon. Turns out, during the editing of this video, I actually got my first patron. So, for you, a poem is deserved. Mike, you're not a dyke. You gave me $1, so you I like. I've been Pick Surprise. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. See you again.